Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint Podcast. Our show will start right after these messages from our sponsors.
Hey, Matt. We're thinking of selling our home and finding a bigger place.
Oh, really? I thought you guys loved where you lived.
Oh, we do. Our family is just growing. With pets. A dog, a cat, 2 guinea pigs, a hamster.
And you're planning on getting more?
Maybe a goat or a crocodile.
Well, I have the person for you. Kimmy Najad is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients.
We're just browsing now. I'm not sure if we really need a realtor yet.
Yeah, no worries. Kimmy can help you with the comparative market analysis to help you determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work at your pace.
Awesome. All right, I'll give her a shot. What's her phone number?
On Facebook, Kimmy Najad, Exit Realty Metro. Her phone number is 902-880-8429, and her email is kimia@exitmetro.ca.
902-880-8429. Awesome. Thanks.
This podcast was brought to you by Dan Lomas. That's LOMAS of lomasfinancial.ca.
Are you a small business owner who wants to keep more of your hard-earned profits and pay less taxes to the CRA? Do you want to plan for a comfortable and secure retirement? If your answer is yes, then you need to talk to Dan Lomas at Lomas Financial.
Dan Lomas is a financial advisor who has been helping successful entrepreneurs and business owners for over 2.5 decades. He utilizes customized solutions that can help you keep your earnings, dramatically reducing passive income tax.
Dan Lomas and his team will help you transition corporate wealth into personal wealth by utilizing customized executive pension plans. Dan will show you how to convert business wealth into personal wealth in a professional manner.
Don't let the CRA take more money than they deserve. Don't let your retirement dreams fade away. Contact Dan Lomas today and let him guide you on your path to financial success.
Visit Dan Lomas at lomasfinancial.ca or call him direct at 902-209-0855. That's 902-209-0855.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
And who do we have with us today?
Jacquelyn Miccolis.
Jacquelyn Miccolis. Jacquelyn, so I think you reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Indeed, I
Yeah.
did.
And you were looking not to hang out with me and just have a drink casually, which I was like, oh, I don't know if my partner will approve of this. But you are reaching out because you have a book that you're working on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have a book coming out at the end of this month. I'm super excited about.
Awesome. We were talking earlier, and you were saying
Yeah.
you have a social enterprise. Explain to somebody who may not know what a social enterprise is.
Basically, the way I think of it is business with heart. So giving back to the community. It's obviously like a social enterprise. The difference between that and a registered charity, I guess, is, well, obviously the legalities of it.
Yeah.
But it's, it's still for profit, but it's not just for profit. The main purpose is to give back and to do something for the greater good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess it's essentially the very short definition.
And we're at Garrison Brewing. I just wanted to say, real quick, so we're back here.
The Oxford Tap Room.
Yeah. And what are we all drinking today?
I'm sour to the people.
Sour to the people. The sourest of sour beers.
One of the most sourest. I just got back from vacation. I think I might have had a beer that's actually more sour than that, but that is still one of the most sourest beers I've ever had.
I'm on the hold fast.
Yeah, that's great. That's
I
great beer.
went in a totally different direction and probably got the sweetest thing, the Georgia peach.
Oh, yeah. That's my partner.
good
That's
one,
her favorite beer.
Oh, is that?
of
Okay,
Garrison's,
I feel like
so
it's a
when
girl-
when
it's
I
a
have beer
girly
in the
thing.
fridge, I should have a couple Georgia peach in there.
It's a good one, though. I like that
It's
on
nice.
a summer day.
No, it's
right?
nice.
Yeah.
It's not too sweet. It's just that nice little after
Just
finish.
a touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. So social enterprise. So let's go back before. What made you create a social enterprise? How did you come about this?
Sure. So it depends how far back we want to go. I had a brick and mortar location. 3 years prior to the pandemic, I opened. So, perfect timing right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
On Argyle Street, I had a little studio and shop, and I ran that for 3.5 years through the pandemic.
So what did you do there?
So it was called Sparkles and Sawdust, and we were an art studio. We held events. It was it became really well known because we kind of blew up because we did a ton of charity work.
Okay.
So we had a whole bunch of different instructors that did art classes for adults, recreational. We did everything from forest therapy to herbalism to paint nights. We did a little bit of everything.
Those paint nights are they're huge.
Yeah.
They were so much fun.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still going on, but I know at some point in time my Facebook was blown up.
They're still everywhere. Yeah,
Are
still
they?
doing
Okay.
I think
them
some
in
people are
bars
still
and
doing
stuff.
them.
Yeah.
They're getting
Yeah.
back into it. I think the pandemic kind of slowed that down.
It probably,
but-
you couldn't gather and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I get it. But at one point, I swear, every
Did you ever
week-
do one?
No,
Matt?
I've never done it.
No, me neither.
I can't paint for shit.
Andrea came home with some cool stuff.
Paint for shit.
Yeah.
Everybody can paint. I think it's just like the level of quality maybe.
I can't paint a wall.
But these are like paint by number stuff. Like you could do this.
I can't paint a wall.
I think I did do it once. Now I think about it. I had to paint black trees with a red backdrop
Oh.
for something.
I say that I've painted many walls in my house, but I don't like it,
Solid
and I'm not really great at it. So
Fair. If the joy's not there, then I guess that's the whole purpose.
yeah,
of
if
it,
you want to
right?
suck the joy out of painting, paint a wall or a ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, I painted our studio during the pandemic, and I have to say I love painting paintings, but walls, no.
My son's really into Marvel.
Okay.
And my wife sent me this thing on Instagram where it was like this thing where this mother for her son took paint and all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And tape and whatever and painted basically a comic book
Wow.
on the wall.
That's impressive.
Right? It was the coolest video and it was really, really cool. And she did an amazing job. And my wife was like, "Oh, LP would love this." And I'm like, "And who is going to do that in this house?"
In theory, that sounds great, but logistically, there's some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so you had this studio.
So art studio.
Yeah, art studio.
Pandemic killed it. Is that what happened?
Actually, we were thriving. I was tired. I was so burnt out.
Oh, okay.
It's just, we had to open, close because
Yeah.
of all the restrictions. We were an event business.
That's fair.
The whole world saying stay home, and we're like, please come out. Like,
Right.
So it was like a push pull. It was
Right.
just cancel, and I'm like, can't do this anymore. So I'm like, okay, let's just shut her down. And I took a little bit of time off, and then I'm like, okay, well, I still want to do something that's, in the community. I love people. I'm a people person. It's just in my nature. So I'm like, how can I kind of take that event side without the pressure and the stress of commercial rent? Because let's be honest, commercial rent skyrocketed in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's true.
So I still had my client base, and my social media following was still huge. So I'm like, okay, if I don't wait too long and I get back into this, let's just find a way.
You just kind of hope they'd follow you to the next adventure.
And they did, and it was great.
Sweet.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So now I just do big, large community events versus small little studio events, which I love so much more.
Really?
That's
so,
cool,
So
yeah.
it actually worked out
So
great.
you'd come to a place like here and organize an event for somebody that was trying to raise money for an organization or something like that?
A little bit of everything. Like literally, I do it all. I'll do networking events. I've helped people with their events. I've done virtual events for some nonprofit organizations. I did paint night for the Hemophilia Association. I've done, you name it. I've done conferences. I've done literally everything under the moon and the stars. Pretty much I've done. I like to think I'm a Jack of many trades, or Jacquelyn of many trades.
Oh, there you go.
Good.
Nice.
That's so cheesy.
Yeah, that's cheesy, but that's good. I like cheese. I like cheese.
We like puns around here.
Would you like a little bit of cheese for that hamburger?
Oh, that's awesome. So, and now you're working on a book, and I think that's why you approached us. You just wanted to let us know a little bit about it. So tell us a little bit about what this book is called, what's about, Jacquelyn.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I started this book during the time that I had my studio. And as you can imagine, that went definitely to the shelf because I'm trying to run a business through a pandemic.
Right.
So I'm like, there's not exactly a ton of free time to write a book. So it's sort of just like a side project. And then the last year or so, I've had some time to actually sit and be like, okay, let's revisit this project and really put my heart and soul into it. And I finally finished the book, and I'm really excited about it. So it's called, I'm having a brain fart, 1 minute.
We can come up with a new name right now.
Yeah, we'll just come up with a new name.
Yeah.
Give me a minute here. Oh my God.
Jacquelyn of all trades.
I think it's because I only came up, the title was the last minute. Everything.
That's normal, though.
You think it is?
No, I think that's normal, actually,
Yeah?
because here's the thing. People generally start with a message.
That's what I meant,
And they start with a thought and a topic or a message
true.
or whatever, and then they get through it. and then all of a sudden they name it after that. Like stand-up comedians do it. They do. They come up with their bits, and then they go
True.
boom, and then they take a line from an hour-long special, and that's what they call their special. And it's no different than movies, right? Like some movies have working titles.
Well, it's gone through like 50 different titles, I swear. So it's called Unfiltered Wisdom.
Unfiltered wisdom. Okay.
And it definitely was not that originally. It's kind of like, like you said, I sort of wrote it and then looked at it. I'm like, what suits this the best? And then it stayed within, I guess, the borders of what I was expecting. But the book kind of just like grew with me, I guess, over a series of time. The whole purpose of my book is to share literally unfiltered wisdom about business, running a business or running a social enterprise in a creative field. There's a ton of business books. I've read them all, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's all the same information over and over, but no one's telling you the nitty-gritty.
What are the norms versus some of the nitty-gritty?
I should be clear, it's not just for people who run social enterprises, but anyone in a creative field. So I've talked about, not even just like the technicalities of, the everyday stuff and the finances, but I talk about the emotional side, literally every aspect of mostly the things that people don't talk about, like the loneliness of being an entrepreneur, and your circle of friends who aren't entrepreneurs don't get it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can see
and
that,
how
yeah.
things can shift with your social circle. So just all the different things that I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's funny because we all share the same struggles, but people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing, oh man, thank you for talking about this with me because I feel so alone with it.
Right. So I guess what's some of the main struggles that we deal with in the book? Maybe what's one of the
Sure.
your main struggles, you think?
Gosh, there's so many different things, but I touch upon a lot about like mental health. That's something that I kind of dive into because mental health among entrepreneurs is a serious issue. And it's funny because not a lot of people think that, but a lot of people find entrepreneurship because of mental health struggles.
Yeah.
And vice versa. They struggle with mental health because it's so much pressure.
Right.
So it's not that's something I sort of wanted to draw awareness to. So it's a slight topic. It's not like the whole book, but it's something that I thought was really important. So the emotional side, and then obviously I go into the more technical stuff about raising money to start your venture and all those more technical stuff that some of it you might find in other books. But I touch upon I think some stuff that like people just expect you to know acronyms, business acronyms, and just like this
Right.
things
Sure,
that,
yeah.
all this stuff that people just don't tell you when you start a
like
business.
I think you really struck a chord with the mental health element. How do you think that entrepreneurs, you said like you feel like they struggle with mental health a little more than the average person?
Oh, definitely.
And why is that?
I think it's because without the standard 9 to 5, you don't have that consistent financial stability. So right off the bat, that puts a lot of
stress that adds.
That's
yeah.
a huge stress. And then there's the sense of, like I said, loneliness because you don't have that 9 to 5. So friends don't necessarily get it that you don't have that structured, so there's often don't understand if you say, well, I need to go do this or I need to go do that. Or people are like, oh, are you ever not working?
General lack of understanding.
General lack of understanding, and I think among other entrepreneurs, we generally have this understanding, but I don't know, it's just, I think anxiety is definitely something that we struggle with as entrepreneurs.
How about like growth and the struggles of growth? Because I mean, for us and for everyone
yeah.
else out there, I mean, that has to be the major thing. Like sometimes you're, one of the first things I learned this a long time ago, and tell me if it resonates with you, is I was doing a play, and you want all your friends to care, right?
Yeah.
And a play you're directing and producing
Yeah.
and doing all this stuff, and you're working your butt off trying to get it off the ground. And I think I was putting 40 weeks into that aside from a full-time
God,
job,
yes.
right? So 80 hours a week. And, a play comes in, 1 or 2 people that I knew showed up, right? Or maybe a few more than that. But it wasn't oh God, it's a little heartbreaking, right?
I have a whole
and you're
chapter
like,
devoted to this exact
and
subject.
I mean, that's something that we don't talk about enough. It's
true.
like, and friends and family, right? I mean, sometimes you just want to, hey, you want to hit the like button for me?
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
you
the
don't
same
want
thing
to
here.
ask,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
but
same
it's
thing.
free.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you watched it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know you watched the clip.
The whole
and I'm like,
chapter's
you're going to hit the
called
like
Where's
button?
My Squad? That's what
Yeah.
the
That's-
whole chapter about this.
So, I mean,
think
that's
it's a big
something
thing.
I always want to talk about. And I'd love to, and it's kind of happy that you're here just so I can talk a little bit in the open about that because it's
Yeah.
something that means a lot to me, and not just me, but like so many good artists that I hear, like songs that I hear, local musicians, right? The algorithms now, and I was talking with Matt about this today, and socials, like we want our socials to be strong,
Definitely.
right? And the way that social media is working now, it's like there's a chance you might not see anything
Oh yeah.
on social media. You can get lost in the abyss, especially on X. Like we have our stuff on X.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of followers on former Twitter, right? Because we started that account in 2024. No
Yeah.
one's really logging
Yeah.
on and jumping in. It's a
Yeah.
lot of old,
That's right.
old dogs will
true.
say on Twitter. That's my opinion, right?
No, that's pretty accurate.
And I think because of that, like I can see the view count. And it's like 17 people saw that tweet, and it was
Oh,
almost like,
gosh.
why would you even put it out there, right? Like
Yeah.
and
You start
but
to feel that way, yeah.
even with Instagram,
You know, this
know-
is the thing, though. It's the unfortunate thing and I've realized this like over a decade ago when I got into like what I would call real sales, and when you get into that hunter mentality sales, and the wisdom I took from it, and I pass on to people who I work with now because I'm in a management position is. You can't rely on your friends and family.
Right.
You will starve.
Yeah.
You will
You will
starve.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
there's a lot of that will say like we'll come out and support you, but then you don't, right?
Yep.
And it's the same thing. Like even for like things like this, it's like I sit there and I think I have 2,000 friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
Why am I not getting at least 1,000 likes when I share something?
Exactly.
yeah,
You know, half of
Yeah.
those people should be at least going like
and,
like.
and in fairness,
Yeah.
though, in
Takes nothing.
retrospective,
No,
how
you're right.
many things popped up on your wall that you didn't like?
Yeah.
That
That's true.
might have deserved a little thumbs up or a heart that you just skipped over,
Yeah.
and you didn't even know. Maybe it was personal, maybe it had nothing to do with business, but
Yeah.
maybe we're all in this social foobar together, right?
You know
Like,
what though? Because
know.
I realize that though, like I actively try now that if I truly like something,
Yeah.
I will like it. Right?
Sure.
If it gets a reaction, like a laugh, or like, and sometimes it has nothing to do with friends. Like I used to like, people go through reels and they're just numb, right? I actually even stop and think about that now. And go like, you know what? No, that made me laugh. You're getting my like.
Yeah.
Right? Because that has power now. We know
Yeah.
that.
It does.
It cost me nothing, but if they get 10,000 people to do that, it gives them a living. Right?
It's true, and it boosts the algorithm. Like, all
Yeah.
it takes sometimes is that I've noticed, especially on Facebook, one like, and then the next one will come, the next one will come, and it gets the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And it's. I read a quote the other day, and it said, "No one will support your business like that one stranger that you've never met on the internet."
100%. That's true.
And we have some fans that neither one of us know, and that's always the most
Yeah.
endearing. It's like, I
Yeah.
love
It
your
is.
show, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's cool, thank you.
And,
Yes.
Like, if
Right?
only friends and family felt this
Yeah.
way too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of them,
Yeah.
them do. Don't get
For
me
sure,
wrong.
yeah.
But, like,
You know what? While we're on the friends and family thing, I should actually mention we're almost family.
we are, yeah.
Yeah, we discovered this after she reached out.
Right.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we had no idea. Reached out and she was like, "Oh, by the way, like I married your cousin, my second cousin,
Yeah,
technically,
yeah.
but still, like, yeah." So
It was,
yeah.
and I didn't know till I was talking with the podcast. He's like, "Wait a minute, what's this guy's name?" He's
Yeah.
like, "I'm pretty sure we're related." 1 minute, let me get out the family tree, basically, because
yeah.
there's so many. Like, you got
There
a
are.
huge family.
Off subject,
huge.
but I've never noticed this wild boar on the wall until today.
That's Puma.
Where's
Hakuna
Timon?
Matata.
Kuna Matata.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Anyway, shout out to Garrison.
Shout out to Garrison.
Sorry.
And yeah, where's Timon?
So yeah, so emotions are part of your book,
Yeah.
and I think what Matt said honestly is something that really resonates. Defend on your friends and you'll starve, and it's something I go by too, and I really do believe that, and it's tough, right?
is. It's
so
a sad
it takes a
reality.
little bit of grit to get out there and say, hey, I'm trying this thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I hope y'all like it, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to have a bit of confidence too, especially if you're not feeling that support from your family and friends. And a lot of people, that's where they sort of just throw in the towel.
Right.
So, but I think if you can persevere and go, okay, I don't care if anyone likes this. I do. I believe in myself enough that I'm just going to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest will follow. If you can get past that little hump, that's where that beauty
So
lies.
now,
Yeah.
for you, does everything you do predominantly just live on social media? Are you picking up the phone? Are you calling people? Or how are you getting clients?
Fair. So I think mostly for me, it's because I had a brick and mortar and I was on the news about 25 times throughout the time. I was in every magazine, every newspaper,
Good.
on every news station. So that helped throughout the pandemic. I got a lot of news coverage. I don't know why. I guess because I was willing and I was there. So people were like, let's call Jacquelyn. So I grew a mailing list. That was huge. Social media. I don't make phone calls. I don't do sales pitches. I don't send out emails. It's pretty much word of mouth, to be honest.
Do you do newsletter?
I do. No, not a news. Well, kind of like.
Just looking at that for us.
Yeah, once a month I send
great.
out a little thing like about upcoming events. Nothing super formal or anything. Once every 2 months, sometimes if if there's not a lot going on, that's for the community. Because if I do private events, no one wants to hear about those.
Right.
But whenever I have community events coming up, I let everybody know, and I send out usually like coupons if I have events where it's ticketed. So there are some incentives to joining my mailing list.
Yeah. So the emotions of the entrepreneur. That's super huge, man.
I think it's
something
huge.
that you're right, and they don't talk about it enough.
And like it's a huge disconnect. I mean, for people, I mean, even for we have to work. We're working full-time jobs because this is obviously not a full-time job for us, but this is extra time.
Yeah.
And we both want to spend time with our family, so it's like what happens is like we don't see our friends that much.
That juggle.
mean, good thing he's obviously one of my best friends, so it's a good thing that we get to do this together and hang out and see each other all the time.
True.
But the rest of our friendship, it's like.
But there's something funny that I want to add about that is I was always the friend that wanted to be producing something or doing something, even with my friends, right? Yeah. So this means the world to me because, and I was watching something about Jerry Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
Who I love Jerry Seinfeld, a great comedian.
He's hilarious.
And the comedians and cars getting coffee thing. It was the same idea in his head. He's like, I want to just enjoy all these people that I really care about.
Yeah.
Right.
And my time is money, and I want to get paid.
Yeah. Make some money off of it.
He seemed to have. That's not how. I'm not quoting it directly on this, but I read something about that show, and I love that show, and it's a really genuine conversations that they have on that program, right? And so I thought that was kind of a cool perspective too. It's like it's fun to sometimes Matt and I might just hang out and just have a beer and do nothing, but it's nice to be producing something while you're at it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And who better than the people you trust?
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
You have that natural comfortability and that charisma that
We get a
flows.
chance to be ourselves and keep getting braver, right?
Yeah.
But you have to
Makes
also
sense.
at the same time is like it's a thing that you have to think about. Now that we're like working, we have to think. It's like what, I haven't seen this person who's important to me, and I haven't seen them in a while.
True.
I have to think about reaching out to them and like trying to do something or like hanging out or whatever. I mean, my other at this point, the two closest people outside of like my wife and kid, right?
Yeah.
Are probably Tobin and my cousin Tim, and we loop my cousin Tim in here and there kind of thing, which is kind of cool to be able to loop him in.
Yeah, and Mark, our good friend.
And our good buddy Mark.
He was our first guest on the show.
He was the first guest on the show.
And I was there last weekend to help at the Antigonish Music Festival and help him serve coffee for his coffee business.
Nice.
Just because it was fun to do and gets us out of the house. And
Yeah,
gave me a few bucks too. Hey, why not?
Win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
So that's the thing. Like you try to loop it in, you try to do that same thing that Jerry Seinfeld was doing. So, but these are all things that people don't
working
really
strategy.
realize
Yeah.
when you're an entrepreneur or when you're trying to create something, and you have to put in those extra hours.
It's true.
Right?
Time management.
But it's fun and it's rewarding.
I'm not complaining.
Because
I'm
you're
not complaining.
Yeah,
It's just
you're
awareness.
You're just creating
Oh, yeah.
something, and it's so cool to create shit.
Yeah, like this
Definitely.
last year
Like,
has been one of the best.
Yeah.
Because we get to
Amazing.
to leave this mark and talk to a bunch of interesting people.
Yeah.
Well, it's great for networking because people that you may never had interacted with or had the opportunity.
Oh, for
to,
sure.
right?
100%.
And I'm actually not that much of an extrovert. Like, I'm friendly with the people I
Yeah.
know, but I go home and I like to stay there.
I think most of us have become like that.
I'm not.
No, Matt's
I
a
am-
total extrovert.
I am the
Yeah.
extreme extrovert.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually I get fueled
Yeah.
by meeting and talking to other people. Like honestly, I could sit here and probably do 6
I
of these
run
in a
out of
row.
fuel. I have
He
a
runs out
tank.
of
I'm
fuel.
more
Here's a
like
tank.
I'm
more
like-
like you. I'll make a
Yeah.
best friend in an elevator. Like stick me in an
100%.
elevator with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a conversation
Yeah.
with them and probably know what their child's name
Oh
is.
yeah,
Like,
I was
my
I was
God.
just in Vegas and like I had to call Uber and I like sat in the front seat of
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like hey man, what are you doing here?
And if I was
Why
the
are you
Uber
in Vegas?
driver, I would have said, get in the back.
Some people like it, some people don't, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You usually tell pretty quickly if they're being receptive to your friendliness.
No, he was good. Yeah, we had a whole good chat on
Nice.
the way to the airport.
That's how you live, though. That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
a real positive thing.
I feel like it's a very Nova Scotian thing too.
Sure, yes.
Because you go other places, and if you start talking to a person, they're going to give you a look like,
They're thinking, what's wrong with you?
yeah, or
Yeah.
what's your motive? Are you going to pickpocket me? Like, what's happening here? Like,
I think I liked it because this guy wasn't from the United States, and it was great to be able to talk metric, not imperial.
I want to ask you about publishing. How'd you do the publishing for this book?
Yeah.
so I'm doing it through Amazon. So
Cool.
it's sort of like a self-publishing
yes.
I'm looking at
thing.
that.
I've- yes.
What I like about it is you don't have to put money up front. It's when someone gets your book, they print it for you.
Right.
So you obviously have to have design skills. Like I designed
Yeah.
all of it myself. Did
Yeah.
all the
You
editing.
mean the cover and all that? You designed the cover?
I designed every aspect of
Cool.
it. All the pages. All.
How
of
long
the
would it take for you to
illustrations.
find it on your phone so we could see the cover?
Oh, it's funny because it's the one thing people keep complimenting me on the cover, and I think it does. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but let's be honest, everybody does.
That's true.
Sure.
I wouldn't pick up a book and buy it if it looked boring. I'd be like, probably not for me. All right, bear with me here. I got to get a new phone. This thing has just seen better days. It's hit the floor one too many times. I
Cool.
think. There it is.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So
It
you
is artsy.
create that
It's
yourself,
artsy.
eh?
Yep.
Yeah, it's artsy.
It's
It's
artsy.
sharp and smart. Yeah, looks cool. Unfiltered
It's
wisdom
not too
for the modern creative entrepreneur.
You don't want anything too
There you go.
detailed because it gets lost, right?
I mean, that looks great.
It's artsy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to attract artsy people. So
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, anyway, when does the book come out?
the 30th.
The 30th, end of the month. Awesome.
So not too long from now.
So yeah, so this episode will come out on the 27th, I think. So
Oh, that's
just a
perfect.
few days before, yeah.
Perfect.
So that's awesome. So I mean, what other tips you got from the book from us? I mean, I don't want you to give your whole book away,
Yeah,
but
don't give the whole book away.
we got the emotional part down, I think.
Yeah.
I talked about like getting started with funding, angel investors, or different various routes you can take. So not
Right.
everybody has natural connections. So I talk about different methods from the people who naturally start out with funding can get a bank loan, and then the people like myself who couldn't get a bank loan, and different avenues you can take to raise money, whether that be like
Well, that's a good story there. So you couldn't get a bank loan. So what happened? Like, how did you make a go of it without any money?
Bank robbing.
I probably took the most untraditional route you could take, and
Yeah.
I did GoFundMe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did GoFundMe, and it wasn't family and friends that were GoFunding me; it was strangers.
Right.
I already had a pretty decent social following,
Sure.
So it was a lot of followers that supported.
And
me.
I think it's important. As like your social following. I mean, these things take time and effort. I
They
know
do.
it, right? So
does take a
so
while.
so going back to the social following, how did you develop that?
Honestly, I started doing social media, I feel like almost before it was a big thing. Like
Yeah.
before it was super popular, I was just doing it just for fun. Like I didn't take it too serious. Now over time I got really good at it, and my following just kind of naturally grew. And I think that's what people liked about it was the authenticity. I wasn't trying to grow a following. I was just being me and showing parts of my life and the struggles and tribulations of starting a business. I showed the things that people weren't showing back then, like the behind the curtain view. I
Cool.
was showing me making my sign for my shop because I couldn't afford a fancy one, the first thing that I put on my door.
Right.
And like showing all those like little things that people didn't show. And people liked that because it gave them, I think, inspiration, but also ideas for their own.
Yeah.
And a lot of businesses.
It paints a picture about that. I mean, you
Yeah.
want to develop a connection with whoever is, essentially going to use your services. So
Yeah.
that's
I think
a smart way to
society
build a
also
connection.
society likes a rising star.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily like it once you make it, but they
No.
love a rising
Yeah.
star.
Well, I was the underdog. That's what I kept getting told, and I kept people are like, "You are underestimated consistently because you are out there killing it." But everyone thinks you're like the underdog. Now, I've definitely come a long way from that underdog mentality. People don't call me that anymore. But when I started off, I didn't have the fancy business degree. I didn't have the fancy, income to start off my business. Everything was DIY. Literally, every aspect of my business was handmade, pretty much.
That's cool.
That's
And
really cool.
I
yeah.
think I had like at least 5 businesses locally reach out and say, "You inspired me." Like I had a bookstore that had no money to start out, and they reached out to me and said, "I started my bookstore because I followed you on Instagram.
Wow.
And you inspired me, and they even have been a part of some of my events and became a client of mine.
Cool.
And a few other businesses too locally that, like, there's a little coffee cafe, and there was a husband and wife that recently started it, and they reached out and said, like, I'm really inspired by how you started from nothing, and they're thriving. And we kind of support each other. It's like sort of like an unspoken community of like underdogs rooting for each other.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Great answer.
Yeah, it is. And so you keep saying like the events that you're doing.
Yeah.
I know you had one. What was it, like a month and a half, 2 months ago or something?
Yeah.
That you just had. What
Yep.
was that about?
So we do it a yearly event. It's a nonprofit event, so it's a lot of work because I don't make a cent off of it, but it brings joy to the community. We do I call it like a festival. It's down at the waterfront. We've got a bunch of local businesses come together, sell their creations or their wares and their services. We've got local musicians that I hire to perform on the stage that's down there.
Okay.
And it's free to the community. And this year, I think we had about 6,000 people attend.
6,000.
Which
That's
was
fantastic.
amazing. We've been doing it for 5 years, and we did on
What's the event called?
Supernova Market.
Supernova Market.
And
Awesome.
I think the reason we got such a great turnout is we did a Canada Day weekend. They had that humongous ship that was down at the waterfront,
Yeah.
the one that was supposed to be the Harry Potter ship or whatever. Don't know if you
Yeah.
heard about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So we had all of those people flocking down to see
Potter
that.
for our listeners that wants context on the Harry Potter ship, it wasn't Harry Potter.
Here wasn't everybody.
No.
It was
What's her
explain
name
it.
there? It was a
the
yacht
author.
that was owned by J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a funny story, though.
I don't know if it was owned, it was rented out
The
by J.K.
guy that
Rowling.
was
No, I
down there
think
that
it was
was doing
owned.
security for the ship
Yeah.
was telling everybody that it was hers, but then at the end of the day he comes up to me and goes, I just got word that it's not actually from my boss. And I've been telling people all day that this is her ship. It's not even. She sold it to someone else.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
all day I watched
I
people
heard
stop and
a
ask
rumor
him.
that she was renting the ship. I heard a whole totally different story. So ask 10 people.
no.
So what I heard
Yeah.
what I heard was that it is her ship.
Yeah.
She rents it out.
Oh.
So she wasn't actually here. I heard it was her
Maybe.
ship, but she rents it out like it's a income thing, a business that she operates. You pay like $20,000 a week to rent this thing.
I have no Harry Potter material.
I don't like
Gindledorf.
Harry Potter.
I don't like Harry Potter.
You guys,
Come for
none of
me.
you guys like it?
Come for me. Come for me. I don't
no.
care.
I don't like it either.
Dude, I don't want to triple down, but I'm not against his. I read Gracie the first book, my stepdaughter, and the second book when she was little. Yeah.
Watch the movies. Because my wife is a huge fan. So
Yeah.
I watched the movies back in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, you should watch Harry Potter. I was like, I don't know. I don't like that. Whatever, right? And I'm a big Star Wars fan. I was like, tell you what, we'll trade off. I'll watch you watch Star Wars, all of them, and I'll watch all the 8 movies, whatever. I watched them all. I hated the first 3 movies. Last 3 movies were okay.
They got better?
They got better. But then I was sitting there at the end of it, and I was just, I remember I said to my wife, I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I like villains, just for some context.
Okay,
I
yeah.
find villains the most interesting. And I was just like, I said, yeah, you know what? I said, Voldemort's actually not that bad of a villain. I said, kind of wanted him to win at the end. I kind of want him to beat Harry Potter. And my wife just said, looks at me and goes, and let the divorce start.
Oh, jeez.
But I was like, Harry Potter does nothing. Nothing. It's the Weasley kid and Hermione
Fair.
that do all the work.
Yeah.
I can't comment because I've only watched about half of the first movie and fell asleep, so
Yeah, I watched the first one. I don't think I ever watched another one after that. But
some people
Yeah.
are really into it. It's a
They are.
people love it.
It's a thing.
People love
yeah.
it, and that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, to each their own, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care if other people like it. Just don't make me watch it.
They're long movies.
Hmm.
I think that's the thing too. Like my attention span's only like.
Oh no, I like long movies.
Do you?
I like a good
Like
long
Lord of the
movie.
Rings.
A good one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings.
Did you watch Oppenheimer yet?
I haven't watched it yet. I
Dude,
know.
that was a
I
good
know,
movie.
I gotta.
I mean,
watch
it's
it.
old now. Not old, a year old now, but I love that movie. It was long. My gosh, it was long.
Yeah.
Watch it in parts, or you literally just binge watch it.
I'll sit and watch it.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Like Endgame, like when
I usually
Endgame
fall
came out
asleep.
in
I fall asleep
2000
Yeah.
watching TV.
2019 when Endgame, I'll sit in the theaters for 3 hours, and like honestly, that movie
Really?
could have been 6 hours. I would have sat there and watched. it.
Really?
Yeah. He pees right in the popcorn. He doesn't even get
Oh,
up.
perfect.
No, I drink the drink and then I pee in that.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. That's a little
Alright.
less gross.
Just a little.
just a smidge.
Yeah. I kind of want to make a Pee Wee Herman joke.
Oh my gosh.
Please do.
No, please don't.
We can take that part out.
No, let's please leave that in. Yeah, so I mean, I think this book actually sounds quite interesting.
It does really sound interesting.
Matt and I hope we'll check it out. We'll put a link in
Definitely.
our episode description, so hopefully you can check it out, the listener. Thank you for listening. And I just wanted to say, like, for us, for two meatheads here trying to run a podcast, what's the number one piece of advice you'd give for us that are creatively going in our own lane here?
I think just to stay true to yourselves and not try to mimic anybody else, because there's so much pressures out there, and people tend to, if they feel like they're not keeping up, to jump on the bandwagon of what other people are doing. And I see that over and over again with every business. And what I've noticed for myself personally, what's helped me thrive is doing things completely my own way, doing it different. Because how are you going to stand out if you're doing the same thing as everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And people notice that, even though if they think, oh, no one will know, but that lack of authenticity, people pick up on that.
Yeah.
People want you to stay true to what you're doing and what feels right for you. And if you start to like just jump on the bandwagons of trends, they'll notice and they'll back away. So
That's fantastic advice.
It's good advice.
Yeah, so you're 3 for 3. And
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot more in your book.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll talk about future events, like what's coming up here.
Yeah.
But if you happen to need like 2 drunk guys to host an event,
guys.
maybe think of us.
We're almost never drunk.
We're never drunk.
Yeah.
We just like to drink. And
we have developed what's called an intolerance.
oh, perfect.
But you do have a couple events that are coming up. So why don't you walk us through some of those?
Sure. So I have a Christmas market that I'm running down at the St. Mary's Shore Club or Boat Club or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It's just literally like a hop, skip, and jump from here. We're going to have live music. There's a beautiful stage there right on the water.
Cool. When's this?
This is on November 23rd.
And we're invited?
You are more than welcome
there
to
you
come.
go.
It's going to be fun. There's
Cool.
going to be all kinds of local businesses there. I think of it almost like a networking event in a way, because I invite all my LinkedIn usually comes.
Cool.
There's going to be food. There's going to be music. We have a folk indie singer who's going to bring her guitar and perform on
Matt
the
and I
stage.
go around with the microphones and talk
Yeah,
to
there we
people.
go. We should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go around and talk to
You
people.
are more than welcome.
Yeah, that'd be
Seriously.
fun. Yeah,
Legit.
we'll do
That'd
that.
be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's beer there?
No beer, unfortunately. I know. Is that like a deal breaker?
Kind of a...
We can bring non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah,
And that way,
yeah.
there's not
If we
breaking any
smuggle
liquor
our
laws.
own beer in, will we be in trouble?
I mean, I won't tell if you don't know.
Okay. There you go.
I don't want to get her in trouble, but we could take non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, what you have in your flask is on you.
That's right. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. So you had a Christmas market. What else? I think you said there was I was on your website, and I think I saw a second event.
So the other thing is it's not going to be till the new year. Is I run a conference every year. So it's a creative conference. You guys should definitely be. We should talk about that. But anyways, be part of it. I get a lot of guest speakers, vendors, networking. Last year was cool. We did it at the Big Central Library, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Usually a theme. So there's like theme decor and everything, and it was fun. We had people from all walks of life. I was actually kind of like shocked. It was our first year doing it, and I wasn't sure what to expect. Turnout was decent. We had like a good amount of people, and we stayed connected. It was more like quality versus quantity,
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was
That's
like a little-
that's the best kind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
for
like a
sure.
little community we formed, and we've kind of all kept in touch and like been collaborating on projects and stuff. So yeah,
Awesome.
Very
love to
cool.
talk more about this for sure.
Yeah. No, this was lovely.
This
So
was
thank
great,
you so
yeah.
much for reaching out. We
I
do
appreciate
appreciate it. If you're listening still and you want to reach out, say, hey, I got this thing I want to talk to you guys about, please message us, afternoonpint@gmail.com.
Yep.
You can message us on LinkedIn. That's how you found us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we totally appreciate that, and we're all about support community. So
Yeah.
let us
And
know.
keep an eye out for booking events.
Booking events. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
We'll end that on a cheers. Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
That was great.